Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. For those of you that may not know, one of the most tempting reasons to sell your soul and play Duel Links is that, for a time, one of the most playable archetypes was Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys, an indescribably cool card who never really got its day in the sun. The renewed interest in the big chicken has prompted Konami to release Legacy support, and wow, did they release a lot of it. Clearly, it's meant to facilitate a deck where you destroy the pieces and slowly accrue advantage, but if there's one thing that good decks refuse to do, it's what Konami intends. Therefore, I present to you a build of the deck I guarantee you haven't seen yet, Ritual Sanctuary Nephthys. So here's the list: distressingly, True King, Dinosaur, and Metal Foe free. As always, I'll give you a little bit of background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you that don't know, Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys is an ancient card, printed at a weird time when it was just a little bit too much of an investment to be broken, but was undoubtedly powerful. When it's destroyed by a card effect, it revives itself during your next standby phase, and then heavy storms the board. If you need a metric for how long ago this was strong, people would regularly make an "Arais chicken" joke from Aqua Teen Hunger Force Season 1, and trust me, it was exactly as funny then as it is now. Anyway, the card was recognizable despite literally one support card, so like Jinzo, they've printed some more. Unlike other retrains, however, these make sense. It's a cult of ritualists and their big ritual summonable monster. There's some pretty excellent stuff going on here as well. The ritual monster can destroy cards, the little ritualist immediately makes a link to, and their link monster has a literal pre-prep as an effect. Unfortunately, current deck-building philosophy has been a little bit misguided regarding this archetype. While all the cards undoubtedly ask to be destroyed by card effects, simply popping them for the promise of a future plus is an easy way to get outground, set up on, extra-linked, or OTK'd. What's more, since they all require investment, either in stars for ritual summons, nefs to pop onboard cards, or material for link summons, without a recursive advantage engine, you run out of cards extremely quickly. True King builds often feel like you're playing a deck that goes -5 to make calamities and loses to every removal spell in the game, and Dino builds often feel like you're playing an extremely bricky version of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno Turbo. I'm not in the business of playing bad decks, with about 165 exceptions, so I fiddled around until I landed on this. This build of the deck attempts to very consistently open the most powerful card in the deck, Sacred Phoenix Avatar. It's the most consistent way to make Palladium, their associated link monster, which is, in turn, the most consistent way to find the ritual monster. Since cards like Preparation of Rites, Pre-Preparation of Rites, and even Palladium afford us multiple +1s, we should always have enough fodder to find what we need. We're also playing Cyber Angel Benten, since we can overpay for the ritual, to search for a Manju and do something with our normal summon. As a final advantage engine, we're playing a whole host of spells that plus when sent off Ritual Sanctuary, Metal Foe's Fusion, and Silent Burning, both of which pair nicely with Foolish Burial Goods as well. The upside of this build of the deck is that we can very consistently open our own linear play without having to devote main deck space to the less powerful hands or the extremely slow spells and traps. We've got multiple 1 and 2 card combos, most of which culminate in a Palladium, Blue Sacred Phoenix, a rank 4 of your choosing, and the OG Sacred Phoenix herself lurking in the graveyard, waiting to heavy storm during your next standby phase. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First, we have the OG Sacred Phoenix, and thank God we not only play this, we aim to see it every single game. I'm sick of these retrains that leave their original counterparts in the dust. Next is Triple Avatar. This card on summon specials a Nephthys from the deck and can self-reborn by destroying a Nephthys in your hand. After that is 2 copies of Sacred Blue, who can destroy any Nephthys card in your hand or on the field to destroy the same number of monsters and reborns if she is destroyed. We're playing 2 because we're summoning 1 and searching the other off of Manju for tribute requirements. Next is 3 of the only really good new hand, Prayer, who destroys a card to search a Nephthys, just great for everything. After that is 1 Silent Magician, don't laugh, we have to plus off Silent Burning somehow, who importantly can be special summoned to make a rank 4 with our Errant Manju. Speaking of, 3 of those, and 3 Benten. We've got a lot of spells because we're a Sanctuary deck, 3 copies of Rebirth of Nephthys, which can destroy a card on the field when you tribute for the Nephthys Bluebies. After that is 3 Pre-Prep, 3 Prep, and 3 Terraforming for our 3 Ritual Sanctuary. Finally, we have a suite of destroyable spells, 2 Foolish Burial Goods for 3 Silent Burning, and 1 Metal Foe's Fusion. Finally, we've got 1 copy of Upstart Goblin, and 2 copies of Called by the Grave, because we don't want to lose to Droll and Lockbird. In the extra, we've got Abyss Dweller, Castel, Tornado Dragon, Baguska, and Dark Rebellion, an odd suite, but we've got the space. Then Borreload, Boral Sword, Saruya, Trisbania, Nephthys Blue, who we will literally never summon, Nightmare's Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus, and 2 Palladium Deity, who can, when Link summoned, either add a level 8 Winged Beast and a ritual spell to your hand, Jesus, or destroy a linked Nephthys to summon a different one from your graveyard. So with that, let's jump into the games. Our first match is up against Danger Dark World, and you can see our opener is okay, but not fantastic. It has a couple of copies of Silent Burning. We don't want to see it in multiples, but we do want to see it. Unfortunately, it does not have a copy of Benten, nor a copy of the Field Spell. Without those, it's going to be very difficult to keep up in cards and accrue the advantage necessary to pull ahead. Still, we can probably make a pretty formidable turn 1 board. We're going to start by normal summoning this copy of Manju. That's going to get a Rebirth to our hand. Afterwards, we're going to activate this Preparation of Rites to get an Avatar to our hand. We will activate Rebirth to summon Avatar, use Avatar's effect to get Prayer, use Prayer's effect, sending a Silent Burning for an OG Nephthys, go into Palladium Deity to pre-prep. Afterwards, we're going to use the Grave effect of Silent Burning and the Grave effect of Avatar of Nephthys, sending OG Nephthys to special summon itself, then tributing it for this copy of Silent Magician, which probably does more than any rank 4 would anyway. We're going to negate this spell, always happy to get that done. Drag Down to the Grave is going to send our opponent a Brow, but give us the tools necessary to win. In standby phase, we're going to activate the effect of Sacred Phoenix. Our opponent is going to flip Fiendish Chain, but ooh, that's a continuous card and gets destroyed. We're going to normal summon a copy of Manju. That's going to get us a Ben 10, then we're going to use Palladium to get a copy of the Ritual from our deck to our hand. We will make him, then use Ben 10's effect to get another copy of Manju, destroy a card to use our Big Blue Boy's effect, and get in 4 lethal damage. So, a pretty quick game 1, but unfortunately all the replays generated by this deck are going to be extremely fast. People just don't like to stick around after they've been heavy stormed. Our second match is up against Orfagel, and oh my god, the entire YGO Pro ladder is currently on this deck. Be happy you only have to see it once. We've drawn exceptionally well. We're going to start by activating this copy of Ritual Sanctuary, sending a Silent Burning so we can get ourselves a copy of Rebirth. We're going to normal summon a copy of Manju to get an Avatar to hand, then special summon it, sending Ben 10, triggering that effect, and the effect of Avatar as well. We're going to get a Manju to hand and a Prayer to field. We'll use the effect of Prayer, sending Foolish Burial Goods for OG Nephthys, go into Palladium, use that to pre-prep, then activate the Grave effect of Silent Burning, use the Grave effect of Avatar, sending OG Nephthys, and ending on a Silent Magician. If we were going second, we would go into some relevant rank 4, but we're not, so we won't. We'll go ahead and negate this Orfagel Prime. That feels good. They'll use Scepter to get out Crown, then activate Pot of Desires. They find a Babel, they find an Einsatz, they'll normal summon a Share Zone and go into Galetta. They'll attack over our Palladium, which is not a big deal. Then they'll pass it back, but the writing's on the wall on this one. In standby phase, Sacred Phoenix is coming back, and heavy storming. Oh boy, getting a 2-for-1 is sure sweet. Afterwards, we're going to normal summon Manju, and having Red Blue Boy, they will concede. Well, it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Spiral. This hand is exceptionally good, but unfortunately pretty weak to hand traps. Pre-prep, of course, does have an OPT clause on it, and Ash Blossom does not negate the activation, just the effect. So we're going to activate this pre-preparation of rites and read the writing on the wall. Afterwards, we're going to activate this copy of Ritual Sanctuary, sending our copy of Silent Burning and banishing it from graveyard, getting 1 more brick out of our deck, and hoping we don't die. Unfortunately, our opponent's going to be able to special summon this copy of Super Agent because, well, a Sanctuary deck is mostly spells anyway. They'll normal summon a Quick Fix, get themselves a copy of Big Red, go into Double Helix, use Quick Fix's effect in graveyard to get itself back and add a Drone to hand. They'll use Big Red to return Master Plan, then use Master Plan to get Rescue. They'll call Spell in order to get a Tough from deck. Then they'll go into Goblin. Ooh, this is not looking good. I hope we aren't dead right now. They're going to go ahead and get the Field Spell and a copy of Sleeper. They're going to bring back Tough, then make Sleeper, then go into Trigate, and oh my god, is this 8,000? We're going to take 28, 19, 19, and oh god, yes, we are dead. So it's time for game 2, and while our opponent has drawn a plethora of hand traps, they've drawn almost nothing else that matters. Maybe this is something we can play through. We'll start by activating this copy of Ritual Sanctuary, sending a copy of Silent Burning to the graveyard to get ourselves a copy of Rebirth that triggers Droll Unlock, so we'll pass it back. Our opponent draws into another Rescue, tries to hit Super Agent, fails, and then normal summons Gemini Elf like a nerd. Attacks directly for 1900 points of damage before setting 2 copies of Rescue and passing it back to us. We draw into Big Blue Boy, so we'll activate Preparation of Rites to get ourselves an Avatar that triggers this copy of Droll Lockbird. We'll use the effect of Rebirth to destroy the onboard Spiral Super Agent, and unfortunately the effect of our Avatar gets Ash Blossomed. At end step, they're going to use Rescue to return this copy of Super Agent to hand, and oh no, can we beat the recurable 1900 attack point threat? They miss once again, so we get to keep Ritual Sanctuary for another turn, but they're going to attack over our Avatar and set this copy of Called by the Grave. We draw into Ben 10, as we knew we would. We'll activate Preparation of Rites to get 2 cards, then special summon a copy of Avatar of Nephthys, use Ben 10's effect, and unfortunately Avatar negated once again by Called to the Grave. Ugh. Well, at the very least, we can banish Silent Burning, normal summon this copy of Manju with the 10,000 hands, add another copy of Avatar, discard this copy of Terraforming for a copy of the Ritual Spell, and attack over the Spiral Super Agent for a whopping 100 points of damage. We'll pass it back to our opponent, and of course at end step they will add that card back to their hand. They draw into a resort. All I can say is thank God for Silent Magician negating that. Then they'll activate the effect of Super Agent, finally calling it correctly, then destroying our Ritual Sanctuary. They'll get over our copy of Manju, which is not a big deal. We draw into... another Terraforming. Okay, so we'll activate the Grave effect of Nephthys, sending Nephthys, then use Terraforming to get ourselves a copy of Ritual Sanctuary, attack over for 100 and 1200 again, but things are looking a little grim. This rescue is about to go to graveyard, and you all know what that means. Our opponent draws into an Eebly, really getting lucky on these draw step fades. They miss once again, so they'll attack over our copy of Avatar and then pass it back. We're almost out of Avatars, so that's a secondary problem. We draw into a Manju. We're going to use Manju's effect. We're going to get ourselves a copy of Ben 10, then attack over for 600 points this time, and 1400 directly. Our opponent's at 2000. I figure Baguska is a nice way to seal the deal. We'll go into it. Unfortunately, they draw into Quick Fix. They're going to use Rescue to get this copy of Spiral Super Agent back, go into Double Helix, flip up this other Rescue. Ooh, and they call it right. That means they're going to have access to not only this Spiral Double Agent, but also Tough and Super Agent. They're going to go into Summon Sorceress, get a second copy of Tough from deck, attack over our Baguska. Oh, we hardly knew ye. Then go into Quick Fix, and the writing's on the wall on this one. They'll get Big Red, get Double Helix, go into Firewall Dragon, and go into Nightmare Phoenix. We draw, and what do we find? But Foolish Burial Goods. We're going to activate it, sending a copy of Metal Foes Fusion to draw into a Sacred Phoenix. We're going to use the Grave effect of Avatar to try and destroy it. They add an Ash Blossom back to hand. We're going to activate the effect of Ritual Sanctuary to special summon this copy of Manju so we can go into Nightmare Cerberus, who, because he's co-linked, can be negated by Ash Blossom. So we're back with the deck. Okay, it's not great, but I had fun. First, a defense of this build. The effects of things like Sacred Blue and Rebirth mean that this deck is pretty good going either first or second. Other builds of the deck are extremely singularly minded, either Feast or Famine Calamity setups, or extremely inconsistent UTC OTK Sackfests. The ability to set up a mini Hope Harbinger or a rank 4 depending on the matchup, or pop several cards going second, is much, much more important than the ability to overlay for a big stinky True King who will, like 9 times out of 10, just immediately die to Widow Anchor. Second, what this deck needs to be competitive. First, it needs a better backup plan. This doesn't feel like Herald, where you can just sit on a 3-mat Xyz or something. When this deck is interrupted, usually you're just passing. This is often the case with Sanctuary decks since they're so spell-reliant and they're not able to wield multiple OPT effects. Secondly, there are co-linked boards that this has a lot of trouble ripping apart, but honestly, who doesn't? All in all, this was a blast, and I'd recommend slapping it together for a tear through your locals. I don't know exactly when we'll be getting these cards, but in the meantime, enjoy Duel Links. So that's that. With the one exception in the background, I got through the whole episode without making a BillyWitchDoctor.com reference. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/AmanoBlueTron once a week, and if you have a certain idea for a deck or archetype you want me to play on a future episode of this show, let me know in the comments below or on Discord, and I'll do my best. Otherwise, I'll see you on Monday.